Imagine your appearance was so fearsome that it made children cry, women faint, and men fear you. You were a curiosity, a creature, a beast. You were considered a freak and locked in a cage, examined, poked, and prodded, only to find that you were merely a man with a doomed life, forced to live in the shadows, afraid and feared. Your fate was loneliness. After all, who could ever love a beast? Welcome to Everything Vaguely Paranormal. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Everything Vaguely Paranormal. I am Shelley Pruitt, and these are my partners in the paranormal, Mr. Blake Smith and Mr. Ryan Roberts.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hello. So I heard you read that read-in, and I told you not to tell anybody my story, damn it.
Well, you know what, Ryan?
God
The
almighty.
truth is a good thing.
The truth will set you free.
Exactly.
That was
tonight,
between all of us, damn it. I told you.
I've roomed with you, dude. I couldn't keep it a secret any longer. So tonight we're going to be telling you guys the real story of Beauty and the Beast. You know, we've all seen that cute little Disney movie and, oh, yeah, she just falls in love with him. Well, that isn't really how this crap went down. Okay. So how much do you guys know about the real Beauty and the Beast? Did you even know that it was actually a true story?
I have heard that it might be a true story, but other than that, no. And I have a feeling you're about to ruin my favorite Disney movie ever.
Well, there's no
Not
talking
on
candles
purpose.
or teapots, so.
No,
That's what I
I'm
think,
sorry.
so.
There are no wonderful songs in this or anything like that. It is simply, it's a story of trickery and of wild shenanigans and of one of your favorite people, or soon to be once you read up on her. It's about a powerful woman is involved in this. So, Blake, I know you'll be interested in it.
I do love me a powerful woman.
That's right. You sure do.
Me too.
Love me, baby. I know, right? So we're going to jump right into it. And so, you know,
Ruin my childhood.
Yes,
Let's go.
I don't ruin childhoods on purpose.
I'm
I just think if you know what, in all truth, most of Grimm's fairy tales don't have happy endings. And that's what a lot of Disney stories are. They're actually very gruesome and have horrible endings. They just kind of evolved to be, oh, everybody lives happily ever after. That's not the way the story goes, people.
No, it's not at all.
So there are actually, you know, we all know the story of Beauty and the Beast, you know, the Disney version, but there are actually over 23 variations of this story all over the world. So this story is not just original to us and to Disney. The modern version that Disney filmed in 1991 or animated in 1991 is based on a novel that was written by a French lady named Gabrielle Suzanne Bardot, and that was written in 1740. But you guys don't know the real story. So in July, this has to do with kings and queens. July 1547, France was celebrating its newly crowned ruler, King Henry II of France. And the new king Didn't come to power easily, okay? He'd had a very turbulent life, which included him spending time as a hostage in Spain. So, yeah, so he had
Damn.
not come easily to power.
No.
But finally, it's here. He's the king. And on the night of his coronation, his rise to power wasn't the only thing being talked about. The other main topic of conversation was the chatter that was focused around a gift, and one gift in particular. So this gift arrived in an iron cage, and it had frightened eyes, and it was small in stature, and it was covered in hair. But it wasn't an animal. The creature was a 10-year-old little boy. And he was given as a gift to the King of France because he was rare. And his condition made him undeniably valuable. Rarity meant value. So now he belonged to the King of France. Now, what would you do if you got grabbed up and you got put in a cage and go, here you go, you're a present for the king? And you're like, dude, I'm just furry. I can shave.
I can't. Oh man, I can't imagine. Like you're 10 years old. You're just trying to, like, I don't know, play with your friends or whatever, and you have this condition, and you're snatched up because you're rare. I always hated the fact that, like, rarity equals, like, you're a gift.
It equals
now.
value.
Yes, I hated. Oh man,
To possess something
I don't know
that
what I
no
would
one
do.
else does.
Yeah, I don't know what I would do. I 10-year-old me would freak out.
So yeah, exactly. Can you, this small child in a cage. So after his debut as the gift and as this curiosity, I mean, he was looked at by noblemen. The children that were at the coronation were frightened of him and would cry. There was a woman that fainted. She was so fearful of this, wild man in the cage. He was 10 years old, you guys.
Yeah.
But as soon as his curiosity factor at the end of the coronation was done, he was moved to the dungeon, still in the cage. And doctors were told, the court doctors were told to watch him all night and don't go to sleep. Watch him. And I guess they were looking for any kind of hint of savage behavior. I mean, I don't know. I guess they were going to, looking for fangs to sprout out or him to get superhuman strength or just change, form and shapeshift or something. So these doctors watched him all night, did not take their eyes off of him. And by the time the sun rose, the doctors all came to the exact same conclusion, that he was just a polite little boy that happened to be covered in hair.
Now, do we know where he came from? Did he come from France itself, or was he from somewhere else?
I'll tell you.
Okay.
So King Henry II, after the doctors gave him this report, he was intrigued. And being that King Henry had been a hostage for a little while in Spain, he decided, now he wasn't quite willing to trust the little boy completely, but he decided that he would go down and he would spend time with the boy and try to learn his story and try to build some trust. And he found out that the child's name was Pedro Gonsalves, and he had been stolen from his home in Tenerife in the Canary Islands. So someone who traveled, royalty thought, I've got the perfect gift for the king, this weird little hair-covered kid. He's half wild man, half human, and the king, I'll garner the king's favor. So, Pedro, this is before he was renamed, Pedro had been born with a rare genetic condition, and we know that condition today as it's called hypertrichosis, which basically means excessive hair in places that hair normally wouldn't grow on us.
Yeah.
Well,
Making sure I plucked that one chin hair I had earlier.
Did you
I
get it out?
Something in my head, and I'm like, wait a minute, did I get rid of that one little chin hair that was sticking out there?
Well, I think I've seen this condition. I remember growing up on television and watching some documentary. It was about like oddities and things of that nature. And it was a whole family in Mexico. They're actually famous in Mexico because I think they're called the Wolf Children or something like that, if I remember correctly. They had the same condition that Pedro had.
Yes, and also, P.T. Barnum had one of, later on, P.T. Barnum had someone that was covered in hair. The bearded lady technically suffered from hypertrichosis. So anyway, this condition that he had, the hypertrichosis, just caused him to be covered in hair, and it made him look like one of those vicious wild men that was all through the 16th century folklore. And Henry decided that he liked this kid, that this was a nice little boy. And then he came up with an idea. Well, not necessarily an idea. It was more like a long-term experiment. He wanted to see if he could turn this wild child into an educated gentleman. So the first thing he did was he changed his name from Pedro Gonsalves to Petrus Gonsalvus. And Petrus was dressed in the clothes of a nobleman. There was no expense spared. King Henry put him in the best finery. And then he was given lessons in etiquette and in speech. And he learned to read and write. And he was fluent in 3 different languages. So this was not a dumb little kid. At 10 years old, he's just learning to read and write. An education that was not afforded to many people. And he was being given all this as part of an experiment. And his progress shocked the members of Henry's court. They couldn't believe that this little furry beast was smart. And Petrus began to rise through the ranks, and he earned a place of honor in King Henry's court, right along those noblemen that had considered him a wild animal, that had poked at him in a cage, that had gasped and clutched their pearls and fainted. He earned himself a spot sitting right next to him. Boy, that must have been uncomfortable at dinner, huh?
I was about to say.
He's just sitting there looking at them the whole time.
You know what? Do you wonder if he ever got a little touch of evil and went, just barked at him? Because see, I would have.
I totally would have too.
So like,
I'd have been like, what are you looking at?
I know. Would you have been tempted?
Oh yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
know.
Or he reaches across with his fork and like takes something off their plate and eats them and dares them to do something about it.
Yeah. And they try to get back.
I mean,
growl at them.
If I was being put in those positions, I mean, hell yeah, I would probably do something like that.
Would that have made Henry rethink and go, back to the cage for you?
Probably. That's probably why he never did.
Probably so. So Petrus, we'll call him now because King Henry renamed him. Mm-hmm. Petrus was now better educated than almost any other nobleman at court. So not only, and there he is, he was dressed in fancy robes, finery, and he was better educated than most of the people he sat next to, than the people who poked fun at him. He was smarter than they are. And he took his seat amongst the upper crust. He had worked his way and he had earned respect. But, they never considered him an equal due to the way he looked. He was never really equal. I wonder if in that case he was kind of tolerated. You keep the king happy. So, oh yes, Petrus did wonderful today. Oh yes, we like to talk to Petrus. Oh, Petrus is so smart. Maybe they were just kissing up.
Probably.
And so the experiment basically that King Henry had was a success, right? So you think, okay, it's a success, all over and done, right? Mm-hmm. Unfortunately not. Because you see, on July 10th of 1559, Henry II of France died in a jousting accident. So the mentor and the protector of Petrus is gone. He's dead. And now you remember, Petrus had been a gift to King Henry. And therefore he was owned by the king. But the king is dead. So what happens now?
Guess he
the ownership of Petrus Gonsalvus, you got it, passes on to King Henry II's wife and Queen Regent Catherine de Medici. Also said Catherine de Medici. I say Medici. That is what I found to be the correct Italian, French, whatever pronunciation. Italians say Medici. I don't know. Catherine de Medici is how I'm going to say it.
I've heard about this bitch.
And Queen Catherine, Queen Catherine. If you have not read up on Queen Catherine de Medici, oh my goodness. Now, being Queen Regent, the most dangerous place for a queen to be was without a king and without a child of age to take the throne. I believe she had 3 sons. None of them were of age. So she had to find a way to be beloved so that nobody would try to take the throne or overthrow France or anything like that. She was known for being very shrewd, and this was no dumb cookie. She was cunning, shrewd, and also known for being exceptionally cruel. Catherine remembered how excited and the fervor that ripped through the court whenever Petrus first arrived. So she decided to turn her ownership of this beast into a golden opportunity, literally. I mean, after all, Petrus had proven that he could learn and live and behave like any other nobleman could. So why shouldn't he marry and have children like any other nobleman would? Very rare and very valuable children.
Ugh,
Well,
makes me
Oh.
sick.
Oh, that Queen Catherine. Love her. Love her. She's
she sounds
fascinating.
like a real piece of work.
Oh, she's
It's a great way to put it, Ryan.
She was. So Catherine de' Medici set out to find Petrus a wife. And after an extensive search and I read this in 2 different places, close personal inspection of each of the candidates by the queen herself. Now, I have no idea what that meant.
I don't know if I want to know what that means.
Yeah,
I have a feeling I know what it means.
I think so too.
Close personal inspection by Queen Catherine herself. She chose a beautiful young French woman whose name also happened to be Catherine. And some accounts of the story say that Catherine de' Medici specifically chose someone that was stunningly beautiful just to see how they would match with someone with the appearance of a beast. Now,
It's like
royal marriages, go ahead.
It's like you are messing with someone's life. You're not selecting dog breeds in order to fucking get, like this. Yeah. This lady, I don't like her already. I have a feeling she gets worse.
But wait, a lot of families would send their daughters and their young men to court in hopes of getting the king or queen to make a match for them with a nobleman or a noble woman of some kind in order to elevate their status.
Yeah.
And
with that though, I feel like that was done for the betterment of them. But this is just mean spirited. This is just
there's
the intention is way different.
Yeah, the intention is more cruel than just trying to level up in society.
I'm a queen. How do I distract people? I know. I'll make some beast babies in order to, so people don't. Yeah.
Like I said, I heard about this bitch.
So the ruler decided young Catherine and Petrus were going to be married. She just decided. And like I said, it wasn't uncommon for the ruler to make matches in the royal court. And Catherine's family was given land, and they were elevated in status. And they were given, remember now, Petrus was a gift to King Henry, but King Henry basically treated him like he was a child or a relative, like he was his. And, and so the things that were given to Catherine's family were befitting that of someone marrying into the royal family. So they just thought that they had hit the jackpot and that their daughter Catherine was going to be made a noble lady, and hallelujah, we're all saved. We don't have to eat taters no more. I mean, I don't know.
I now have a pot to piss in and a window to throw it out.
That's right. You have both. That's right.
Brian, you and your analogies. Damn.
Oh, but one little detail. Petrus's condition was kept a secret from the bride to be.
Oh God.
His appearance was revealed to her on their wedding day. At the altar, not only did the bride wear a veil, so did the groom.
What?
This is like medieval reality television.
What?
It is. It's like Love at First Sight, right?
I was
It's
gonna
like,
say, yeah.
hell.
Yeah.
What
I
would
mean,
you
like,
do if you get
oh.
married to somebody and you'd agreed to all this and you're going to get, all this lavish stuff and be in the lap of luxury and you lift it up? You may now kiss your bride. You pull that up and that bitch got a beard.
Well, I think
I would go ahead, Ryan. Sorry.
you're fun. I think the clue was I should have given away when he walked down the aisle to Werewolves of London.
I mean, I think like the whole thing is like, I mean, I don't know, courting and wooing and like all of that stuff. I mean, okay, but to like spring it on somebody, I'm not trying to say like I'm shallow. I'm not shallow. I'm not trying to say a lot of people are shallow, and whatnot. But I mean, it's one of those things that like you can learn to love the person on the inside, even though they have a condition or something like this. Once you get to know them, but you're just at the altar and bam.
But you want to see the boat before you buy it. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on.
I mean, that's the part where I'm like, this bitch right here, because that's some messed up crap right there. She knows what she's doing. There's cruelty behind it.
This is her experiment.
Absolutely, because back in that day, I mean, of course, Catherine, the one that's getting married, not the queen.
Young Catherine.
He's gonna, young Catherine. He's gonna lift that veil and reveal his condition, and she's gonna be like, "What the crap?" I mean,
just pulls it back, kiss me, baby.
This poor guy, like, oh man,
Good
poor
Lord.
guy or the poor girl?
Both. I think it's screwed up in both ways. This queen playing cruel matchmaker over here, like, it's like she gets her jollies off on all of this kind of little
she's
shit.
like
I'm gonna take the spotlight away from me and make beast babies, but in the meantime I'm gonna get a really beautiful girl, know what she's getting into, not tell her, but reveal it at the altar, and then we're gonna see how she reacts. And she's sitting back here like this on her throne, just like
well, she was also not only a queen but also a Fox executive. So
A what?
I said she was not only a queen but also a Fox executive.
This bitch. Damn.
Well, if you want to know what happened, young Catherine, when her groom's condition was revealed to her, she did go through with the wedding. The beauty, young Catherine, seen right there, married the beast. I'm not sure she had a whole lot of say in the matter, because if the queen's standing there and all the soldiers and all the guards are kind of like, I do? Okay.
Now kiss.
Yeah. But who's to say he didn't think she was a dog? Oh, wait a minute. That was bad. I didn't what I meant to say. Who's to say he didn't think that she was unattractive? I'm sorry. That was a very bad Freudian slip on my part, and I apologize. He's ugly. Come on, pull up. Pull up. Oh, I misspoke. Who's to say that he didn't think that she was ugly as sin? Okay. She might not have been attractive to him.
Very true.
Yeah, I'm going to quit digging this hole and go on with my story. But apparently the two obviously got to know each other. They obviously had found some kind of common ground, because after a year of marriage, Petrus and the Beauty had a son that showed no trace of his father's condition. No hypertrichosis. Plain old little beautiful, healthy, bouncing baby boy. No fur. Well, this wasn't going the way Queen Catherine had anticipated. So she waited. And in a year or two after that, here came the second child for Petrus and the Beauty. A little boy with no trace of his father's condition. No hair whatsoever. Beautiful, happy, healthy, bouncing baby boy.
And the queen just says, damn, damn, damn.
Soon after, Mr. and Miss Gonsalves have happy news. They're expecting again.
All right.
Child number 3. Beautiful little girl. name of Antoinetta. And she was covered from head to toe in fur. She had hypertrichosis.
Oh, damn.
And that is pretty little Antoinetta. And it was said that she was a very, very smart child, a very sweet child, a very, very loving child. Then there was child number 4, a boy. And I do not have his name. I could not find his name for certain. They call him 2 or 3 different things. He had hypertrichosis, covered in fur from head to toe.
So I wonder if it's a recessive gene then, it seems like.
Let's hope so. So now, of course, with the arrival of these 2 children, Catherine de' Medici was delighted. De' Medici, I'm going to say it both ways. Her experiment had been a success. And now she owned her very own little wild family. Those are her words. She owned her very own little wild family. Now, Catherine and Petrus had 7 children in total. Damn. 4 had hypertrichosis and 3 did not. So the queen decided, here is my chance to make some money for France, to fill the coffers of France. And she began to send this odd little family on a tour of Europe, charging other royal courts to have them come and delight and fascinate everyone who laid eyes on them. She had her own traveling circus with this family.
Yeah.
Is this like the first sideshow attraction?
I do not know, but that's very interesting because I would have to look that up.
Mm-hmm.
It couldn't be the first time that someone had put someone with a genetic condition on display and held them up as a freak or an odd little family or a wild man.
Maybe the first royal sideshow then. I don't know.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
That's your rabbit hole to run down. So basically, she sends them touring, paying their expenses to get whatever, collecting their fees for them, showing and basically showing up to sing and dance and entertain and delight, as she put it, all who laid eyes on them. Funny thing is, though, the Gonsalves family very quickly became one of the most famous families in Europe. Everybody knew about them. Everybody wanted to see them. And during their tours, the families would be contracted to stay an extra day or 2 or a week or month, depending on what they wanted to have done. Some of these royal families commissioned painters to come in and paint the pictures of the family with the nobleman who hosted them. So there are actually some of these paintings that actually still exist in France. They're very few because you had to be very wealthy, because you would be having to pay the room and board and expenses for this family. And there's 7 children, but we don't know if, I never could find if all 7 of the children would go on tour when they went, or if the 3 children without the condition were left behind and the 4 that had the condition would go on the tour. I could not find that out. That was never made clear what was the deal with the 3 children without the condition. But they would literally pay to have these painters come in and paint the portraits of this family. And then Queen Catherine allowed them to be studied by an anatomist named Felix Platter in Switzerland. So basically, she sent them and says, sure, you want to go poke, prod them, find out what's wrong with them. Let me know what you find. So she sent them there to be studied.
Jesus.
Now, don't get me wrong, she's collecting some cash for this. She's making her nuts. So it's kind of like, this little wild family. She didn't consider them human. So therefore, just like go experiment like a rat,
Well, I think on tour was probably the best place they could have been and been away from her, because she just didn't seem like like you said, she didn't treat them like people. And maybe, and I understand that while they're on tour, they're probably not being treated like people either, but I'm sure they're having a better time if they would just hung out with her and stayed around the royal court.
Yes, they're on tour. They're eating good food and they're being entertained and they're sleeping in the best accommodations because they were the show. They were the reason to bring people in. Now, between 1589 and 1590, they met Duke Ranuccio Farnese, I believe, Farnese, Farnese. And this Duke took such a liking to them that he offered them basically asylum and that they could stay with him. So between 1589 and 1590, the family settled in Parma under the care. So I don't know why it was called under the care. I guess because I don't know if they had to be purchased or what, but they were living under the care of the Duke Ranuccio Farnese. So I guess that means that he technically owned the Gonsalves family. And unfortunately, they'd have been better off with Catherine.
Uh-oh.
Because he handled them, it kind of upsets me, he handled them like he owned them. Portraits of the children were commissioned, and the Duke began to give away the portraits as gifts. Okay, that doesn't sound too bad. He'd painting pictures of the kids and giving them away. But eventually, the Duke sold the fourth child of the Gonsalves family. And he gave away the third child of the Gonsalves family, little Antoinetta, as a gift to his mistress, Lady Isabella. So one of their children, he just sold. Said, "Oh, you want a rare little wild man of your own? Here, take this little guy. How much would you like to pay for him?" And he sold their fourth child. And Antoinetta, he gave as a gift to his mistress. So Catherine wasn't willing to do that. Well, not at the time, because she saw the potential income of keeping this little family together and her being the only owner. The Duke, he was like, "Nope, here, you know what? You're my mistress. I love you. Here, have a furry little child." And another one, "Hey, you want your own little furry little child? I'll sell you one. How much do you want him for?" So now, whenever the family finally was broken apart, the interest in the Gonsalves family seemed to kind of fade out. Because, I mean, once it's broken up, you don't have the entire family, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
So you have 2 children left that have the condition and 3 children that do not, because one has been sold and one has been given away. So now the interest, it's not 6, you know.
I mean, it's like the Jackson 5 without Michael. You got Tito and Jermaine, and don't nobody care.
You're right.
You know.
You're right. It's not the same. And because it wasn't the same, the interest in this little family seemed to begin to fade out. So Catherine obtained a house. Petrus and Catherine, young Catherine, got a house in Codamonte, I believe is how you say it, Codamonte, Italy. And even though the Duke still owned the land, at least he was farther away. So they asked for the house. He granted it to them. And they moved a little farther away where they weren't quite as close to being in his clutches.
It's the least he could do after he sold their freaking children. Jesus.
Yeah, but you also got to think about that time, him being a Duke, being on up there and all that stuff. I mean, they didn't think that way like we think about it now. I mean, we're sitting here going, look, they're human. They had a condition that makes hair grow all over your body. I mean, they didn't know all that crap back then. You know, I mean, it was, hey, it's a wild man. He has fur like an animal, so therefore he must be an animal. You know, I mean, that was their thinking. So animals to them were property, you know. So, I mean,
it's just like selling puppies at a puppy mill to, you know.
Yeah. It's much unfortunately, as I want to like go back in time and like sock them in their jaws, each and every single one of them. I mean, they're a product of their time. You know, they didn't know.
I would think though that if somebody could talk to me, I'd be like, "Oh, well, yeah, okay,
yeah.
You're cool."
Yeah.
But that was just never given a thought. They were owned. They were owned from the moment that Peter Gonsalves was swiped from Tenerife. He had a doomed life. But whenever they got to Codamonte, Italy, and in that little house far away from the Duke, Petrus and Catherine finally were afforded this peace that had seemed to elude them their entire life, or at least their entire married life. And after that, not much is known about them. They lived their lives very quietly, very secluded. And we do know that Catherine Gonsalves died in 1623. And there is absolutely zero record of Petrus Gonsalves' death. No record at all. And after everything that he endured, he was captured, he was imprisoned, he was experimented on. He became a nobleman. He was forced into marriage. He was forced to entertain royal courts. He had his family torn apart, had his children sold. It's still possible that he was denied his right to a Christian burial.
Wow.
Because he was still considered a beast. And that is the true story of Beauty and the Beast. So yeah, it's a tale as old as time. It just don't end like you think it does.
Yeah.
Well, do we know what happened? I mean, I know she was the children were sold off, but is there any record of what happened to them after they were sold? Did she grow up and live a normal life? Or?
Okay, so the one of the few things that I did find about Antoinetta, which was the oldest girl that had hypertrichosis. Actually, she was the oldest girl of the family, and I believe she was the oldest. She was either the oldest or she was the next to the baby. I can't remember. There's anyway. She apparently grew up and there was I read 5 or 6 different articles trying to find something about her. It's rumored that she was married, but that was only rumor. And the places that I saw that said it was rumored that she eventually married. And that the lady who the Duke had given her to as a gift was actually very kind to her, educated her, and actually took very good care of her long after her affair with the Duke had ended. So his mistress Isabella actually took very good care of Antoinetta. And the other three children that did not have hypertrichosis, couldn't find any record of them. The 3 remaining children that were fur covered, of course, one was sold. So there are no records of him at all. And then the other 2, no records, nothing that I could find. Now there's speculation that they actually were able to kind of escape the Duke's grasp and live with their family out in Cotamonte, Italy, that they had actually escaped. Cotamonte, Italy? Cotamonte, France. What did I say? Oh, now I'm thinking Italy over here. I have to check my notes here to make sure I don't have it wrong. Cotamonte, Italy. Yeah, okay. I thought I had that right.
It sounded like
I don't trust myself sometimes.
Well, that's what I thought you said, but then I was like, ooh, don't.
Yeah, I was thinking.
Don't give me lying.
Yeah, I know. That's why I thought I better go look back and look at my notes. But again, I could not find anything on what happened to those children after that point. And it's not unlikely that the other 2 children that perhaps in exchange for the Duke giving them, giving Petrus and Catherine this little house, out in Cotamonte, Italy, it's not unlikely that he might have taken those 2 remaining children with hypertrichosis in trade. That was something I saw speculated, not documented anywhere. But you know as well as I do, people don't normally just kind of give you big shit like a house. So
yeah.
There's always, especially with this Duke, it seems, and this Duke was just not Ranuccio Farnese or Farnese, however you want to say it. This dude was not a good dude. He was not a good dude. And how he got them away from the Queen of Cunning, Miss Catherine de Medici, I have no idea, because I can't imagine her letting something so profitable
just go.
Yeah.
So did I ruin your childhood with that?
No, you actually didn't. I mean, it's an interesting story. It's one of those origin stories that I just have an issue with, because I'm so, I mean, I think we all, I mean, obviously, I hope we all are. I hope everybody watching is too, of people owning other people, obviously,
Yeah, that's not a good thing.
No,
not a good thing. We're all against it. and it's just that time period where people, they didn't know much about science or genetics or anything of that stuff with diseases and conditions and whatnot. So like you said earlier, rare is valuable. And it just sucks that this man and his family got wrapped up, had to live through that time period where they got wrapped up into that issue of they have this condition, so therefore they're rare, therefore they're valuable.
Well, this kind of sparked a question in my mind, and I want to see what you guys think about this, because we were talking about how this was kind of like the first. I mean, not the first sideshow. Maybe there were other sideshows, but do you think that if they were able, do you think that sideshows themselves exploited these people because of their conditions, or do you think these sideshows gave these people lines of work that they would not have gotten otherwise because they went into the performance industry and it gave them a line of income? What do y'all think?
Question for you: what time period are you talking? Because P.T. Barnum did pay his sideshow freaks, as he called them.
Yeah.
But if you were owned by a ruler,
not back then. I'm just talking about like
just
carrying
in
that
general.
Over. Yeah, carrying that over now into the 20th century. I mean, just in general at this point.
I think it has to walk side by side. I think both play in. I don't care what era you're in. I think I think they both coincide together. I think that yes, it gives these people an avenue to make income that may not have had another way to make income in life, but at the same time, the one who is also profiting from the shows is going to be. There's going to be a little bit of exploitation there. I mean, they're trying to make their living off of these people. So therefore, obviously, there's some exploitation. I think throughout time, I don't care from way back when to P.T. Barnum times, and current as well. I think there's just.
Here's the difference, and again, P.T. Barnum is fascinating. He's one of those fascinating characters.
Absolutely.
But he never forced anybody to be in the show. They had to agree to it. Did he try to get them there any way he could? Absolutely. But at that point, it was their choice.
Right.
Somebody like Petrus, he didn't really have a choice. However, now your question is very interesting. Did he ultimately benefit more by being a gift to the king?
Depends on what he's having to give up. I mean, if he's he's 10 years old, swiped from his family. I mean, he's losing everything: his heritage, his family.
Okay, but wait. So if he's in a family, and this is all what if? What if he's in a family and he's the only one with this condition, and he's locked in a room at night, or he's locked up? And remember, the 16th century folklore, there were wild men. People would hunt these wild men down and kill them if they see them, because they think they're shapeshifters or werewolves, or there's some creature that's going to kill their children at night. He could have been hunted his entire life every time he stepped out of his home, if he even had a home. But instead, because he was a gift.
Yeah.
Suddenly he is a nobleman and eating good food, and he's being well cared for, and he's got some respect, and he's educated. And now, granted, what happened to his children are awful. So what is the trade-off? He might not have ever even lived to have children had he not been a gift. So there's your morality question. Was it really better for Petrus to have been a gift, even though the awful things happened later? Would he have ever married? Probably not.
But
did he marry this beautiful woman?
But did he possibly escape a worser fate by being a gift to the king? I mean, that's a good question. I mean, he very well could have, just because of that time period and the mentality behind these individuals with the condition that we now know. So very well could have been.
I think that had he not, what we're saying, people ownership is not a good thing whatsoever.
No.
No,
we are not promoting any. We're playing the what if game for the time period of the time and the acceptable conditions at the time.
But I think that, like you were saying, had he been left out where he was, I'm sure there were many pitfalls that could have gotten him. I mean, like you said, like people hunted people like him. I mean, he could have lived a impoverished life because of what he looked like. He could have, I think that maybe being in the royal court offered him some protection and offered him a way to grow as a person and like just shock the world and shock all of them and be like, hey, look, just because I look like this on the outside does not mean I'm not a human. This is who I am.
Could it have furthered an understanding of things that they didn't understand as well?
True. This is me. This is who I am. And you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. Because
I'm not an animal. Oh, we're quoting the animal. I am not an animal.
I'm a human being, damn it. Just like you.
Yes. But if you think about it, we see something dog-faced running around in the woods. Are we going to chase it? Yes, it's freaking called Bigfoot. So don't tell me that in this day and age, we're so evolved that we see something big and hairy running around the woods and we aren't going to go chase it. Yes, the hell we do.
It's very true.
So we haven't evolved that far from Petrus.
Because how many people do you hear say, whenever we do talk to people out there about Bigfoot, this thing that is covered in hair. And they say, oh, if I see it, I'm going to catch it.
Then kill, or I'm going to shoot it.
I'm going to kill it,
shoot it, or I'm going to kill it, yes.
And I'll tell you, I would love to go squatch and see a Bigfoot. I ain't about shooting things. I don't shoot things. Let's do
it. I'm not shooting anything.
Yeah, I would like to take a picture of it.
But the thing is it all boils down to we fear what we don't know. That's exactly what it is. We fear what we don't know. And in Petrus's case, going back to your question, did they learn something possibly from something they didn't know? Yeah, I would think that they would have to almost, because they educated this man, and brought him up in society and placed him right next to noblemen.
The king did. King.
And so it's, I don't know, but you are right in the same breath. You are right, Shelley. You are very right. We have not evolved that much further from.
We ain't that far away from it. If you going out saying you're squatching and you're going to shoot Bigfoot, you are just like those idiots who are running around. Not idiots, excuse me. You're having fun. Just don't shoot nobody, okay? Don't shoot nobody. I like the squatch hunters. Just don't quit shooting stuff. You don't need to shoot it. Just don't shoot it. But you're not that far away from these people in the 16th century folklore who, when they see something in the woods, oh, let's shoot it. Let's kill it. You're not that far evolved.
Because it's not human.
Or you don't think it is.
Or you don't think it is, yeah.
Petrus Gonsalvus was 100% human with hypertrichosis.
Yep.
So.
But in their day, he was a cryptid.
He was a cryptid, yes.
Very well.
Yeah.
Very well.
And you hear the stories of like the dog-faced boy and actually it's alleged that the theory of we're not going to go down to 50 different paths here, but it's alleged that the theory of werewolves also comes from the condition of hypertrichosis. That people would see these people that would, and if you think about it, if you were odd and strange, you would probably do everything you had to do at night. It's like, less people out. I don't have to deal with this. It's easier for me to conceal. I can put a hood over my face or something.
Yeah.
That people would catch, glimpses of these people and swear that there were werewolves because they had seen the damn thing walking down the street. Perhaps it was just a person with hypertrichosis that was knew the kind of emotion that was evoked when people saw how they looked. Now me, I'm just getting a razor, a real good wax job. I can go get laser hair removal. It's like, it doesn't seem like that should be a big deal in today's society. If you got hypertrichosis, we can help you out. Go see my friends at the laser place. They'll take all that hair right off of you. Three easy, appointments.
And that's the crazier thing now, because you hear about all these things in some cultures now where individuals like Petrus would be seen as divine, if not, somewhere along that pedestal. So, are we
talking about the people that are born with the partial tail that didn't move from the evolution? Because I saw that there was somebody who was born like that not too long ago, and this person is being hailed as a deity.
Well, in some cultures you have that. You have these anomalies that happen with
abnormalities,
abnormalities with genetic conditions and things like that, and these individuals or animals, even like goats and cows and stuff. The
white cows in India, very sacred.
Are very sacred and held as high as deities and worshipped sometimes in these.
Well, I bet they make a good steak.
But Ryan, I will go.
Sorry, I couldn't resist. I'm from Texas, y'all. I like a good steak.
Oh, shit. But to go back to answer really your question, kind of touching of all this of the exploitation, I don't think the exploitation has ever truly gone away. I think it's just lessened. I think that's the thing, because as Shelley said, from Petrus to P.T. Barnum, one was stolen, one was shopped around, one was, all this stuff to make a profit, make money. The other one, he gave him a choice. Do you want to be a part of my show? Now he has to profit from the show as a businessman.
Oh, he was not altogether altruistic. No.
Oh, yeah. I'm like, so there is going to be some point of exploitation, even to today's standards. But I think it's just lessened over time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think you're absolutely right.
I didn't ruin your childhood.
No, you did not. You just opened up a wonderful avenue of thinking and questions. And now I'm probably going to go spend time in a rabbit hole somewhere trying to figure out where the kids are at. And...
Oh, you know what? Whenever I first looked all this up, I got down and one of the boys' names now the last two children, it's either the last two children or the middle two children, and it depends on which story you read. Some of them, Antoinetta is the first child born female that has the condition, and then the next one is the boy, and some say Enrico, some say Enrique, some say Rico. That's why I did not say his name, because I don't have an accurate name. It says that he is child number 4. Now another one I read said that Antoinetta is the baby, and her older brother is, I think they called him, it started with an A. He was, that Antoinette was actually the baby. But again, then we still have 2 missing children with hypertrichosis, and I found nothing about the 3 that did not have the condition. And it does not matter how many articles you read, as far as the kids go, they are about as contradicting as you can possibly find. So that's one of those, if you want to go on the round hole and you feel, I went Smithsonian Channel and they can't even tell me where all these kids are. And, they're my go-to. Smithsonian is my go-to, because I figure those people, got the things right. But, well,
that
I'm
might
glad
have to be another rabbit hole I chase later on once I get next week's episode's research done.
Yes, next week's episode's research. I can't wait for that. And I can't wait to hear all about that.
And who says we can't get deep and introspective on EVP? Come on.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
And then next week, we're going to be right back to our hauntings and all kind of stuff like that, where we are covering the infield.
So this is a nice story behind the story. I don't know if it's a nice story behind the story. It's a story behind the story. And this is one that whenever I found it, I was, I'm all about some of these old fairy tales and stuff like this. And again, whenever I actually had a book, a very old book of Grimm's fairy tales. It was my great grandmother's. And I remember reading it. I'm going, wow, that's not how that ends. That's not it. I'm like, and I'm reading, I'm going, that's not how that's supposed to end either. And then that's kind of how I got on this rabbit hole of like, wait a minute, Disney lies to us.
Oh, Disney totally lies.
Oh, yeah.
They're lying. Not everything is happily ever after. Why do they always kill the mother? And the stepmother is not always evil.
And unrealistic expectations about love.
That's right. You know what? Some motherfucker come up on me in the middle of the night while I'm sleeping and try to kiss me. I'm gonna punch him. That's called assault. That's not called I'm in true love. Mwah. No, because if you wake me up with a kiss and I don't know you, we're gonna have an issue.
Some fool
women don't let them do that.
Some fool floating up on a magic carpet. Do you trust me? Fuck no.
Fuck no. First of all, I don't even know. You don't got no seatbelts in that thing. I can tell right now. Okay. And I have a tendency to fall off and drop things. So no, we're not going to. Well, gentlemen, anything else tonight before we wrap it up? I know that Blake, you want to tell us kind of about where you can get some information about us.
Absolutely. So, of course, wherever you're watching this, from whatever social media platform you are watching us from, we are across all social media channels. We're on anything that you can think of: Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Instagram. We're across all of them. Please go follow us. Every single social media profile that we have, we utilize each one for different reasons. You won't see, you'll see some of the same stuff, but you won't see all the same stuff across our social media platforms. So make sure that you go and check that out. And also don't forget that in 2 weeks' time, just under actually 2 weeks' time. On March
12
the 12th.
days.
Yeah. 12 days. On March the 12th, we will be having our very first public investigation that
Yes, we
you
will.
can join us on. You can go to our Facebook page and find the event link for that and purchase a ticket. And we're pretty close to getting sold out. So
I love that.
You're gonna
I
get
cannot
a ticket,
wait for
get
that.
a ticket.
Hell yeah.
And then if you want to see what goes on behind the scenes, see what we really talk about, like I'd like to say we always talk about the show. Not so much. Go and become a member of Patreon. We have done this thing where, a lot of times there's different tiers. We are a 1-tier deal. 1 tier. We're going to give you everything in 1 tier. Okay. You don't have to go and pay for 2 or 3 different tiers. Come and see what we talk about on Patreon. You get pre-broadcast. You can see Ryan's review. You can have a drink with me on Spirits with Shelley. You can hear a bedtime story with Blake. That BL and blah messed me up. Bedtime story with Blake. So come and become a Patreon member of Patreon, and you get exclusive content that it's just for you. We do it just for you. And Ryan, tell them what else. Oh,
Yeah,
what else?
Go rate and review us on Spotify, on Apple Music. The more you do that, the higher up we are, the more people see us and will find out about us, and the more exclusive content we can bring you. The bigger we get, the more time we can dedicate to this and bring y'all better and bigger and badder stuff. So
more stuff too.
Yes.
And more stuff and more stuff and more stuff to come. So thank you so much for watching or listening to Everything Vaguely Paranormal. For my friends, Mr. Blake Smith, Mr. Ryan Roberts, I'm Shelley Pruitt. Thank you so much, and we will see you next Tuesday. Bye, everybody.
Bye.